Although
Okay.
I guess the AIs were recording that, but
Yes, it is.
um, so welcome everybody. It's hard to believe, like, isn't it, that this is the sixth session? We've been through 5 2-hour sessions on mind shifting, mastering your resourceful brain, and I've really enjoyed the class. I've really liked interacting with you all. I loved your reflections.
Awesome reflections.
And I took a glance at not all the lesson plans, but many of the lesson plans, and they're really incredible. Um, so I think, well, today is the showcase session. So today is all about you all. Um, you kind of know that I like to talk, Tammy likes to talk, Jane likes to talk, but this is still our favorite session because in this session we get blown away because, we're talking, certain vocabulary and certain things, but what you all do, because you all have this expertise that we don't have, is you take what we say and you translate it so that it can be meaningful for other people. Um, so with that, what I'd love to do is just ask for who wants to volunteer and lead the way and talk about their lesson plan. And it's fun. It really is. I hear
I can.
somebody. Oh,
I'll go.
okay, good, good. Elizabeth, that's great.
Oh, Elizabeth, yay.
Okay, do you want to? Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna. Do you want to be the one who share it so I can just make you a co-host
Um,
in a
I don't
second?
know if I
Yes.
can. I'm not on the device that I put it on,
Oh,
unfortunately.
that's well. Okay, I can, I can pull it up, and
Okay.
then so I have it up. I'll just share my screen and just
Okay.
tell me when to advance the slides and
Okay.
anything else. Okay. Okay, here we are.
Okay. So for background knowledge for anyone who doesn't know me, I taught for 15 years in public, or 10 years rather, in public schools. I've been teaching overall for 15 years. Um, and then in 2019, I quit and started my own business with neuroplasticity in mind. And so what I did was, this is going to be recorded and it's going to go on my Substack blog this week.
Oh, and can I, for and people
Yes.
who aren't familiar, I follow Elizabeth on Substack, and she's a great writer. So I'd really encourage people to go onto Substack and look her up and follow her.
Thank you. Um, and one thing that occurred to me could be really, really useful for people who read my work is how do you use this to get through sensory overload? Because it's a really, really common thing with neurodivergent people. So go ahead and advance the slide. So to understand a little bit of background, the brain interprets information, excuse me, from our senses. So it turns sensory input from something that's nonsense into something that's recognizable, like a voice, a word, a chair, etc. And when the brain does its job, you can see objects. So you can see pom poms in the top picture as opposed to colored blobs in the bottom picture. Go ahead and advance the next slide. But when the brain is overwhelmed by too much information that comes at someone too fast, it just can't keep up with all of that input. And that automatically triggers fight, flight, or freeze. And this is an automatic response. It's not something that you can decide not to have happen. It just happens. And anyone can experience this, but it is more common for neurodivergent people. So next slide. So when you go into fight or flight with sensory overload, it's pretty standard fight or flight symptoms. So you could experience anger, frustration, which is sometimes very, very extreme. You could feel fear, be very anxious, feel disoriented. When it happens to me, sometimes I can't figure out what door, which room, which door to the room I came in, or which way to turn when I exit a room. And these emotions are all common when the limbic system registers danger, which is what happens when it can't interpret all of the sensory information that feels dangerous. Go ahead to the next slide. So some thoughts, one thing that was really helpful to me with this course is I realized some of the thoughts I had been having were fight or flight, and I hadn't realized that. So I decided to include some thoughts. You might think, I hate this place, or she shouldn't have had the music on so loudly, or stupid lights, or this place is always like that. And you might not realize that that's fight or flight, but it is. Go ahead. And when that happens, your limbic mind comes into play, and this can be called part X, or the saboteur. And it responds faster than your rational mind, tells you everything that's awful, and it'll be that way forever, because it does feel like that sometimes when you're overwhelmed. But this keeps you from constructive thought. But your sage mind is able to be curious and navigate. It can connect with others and respond rationally. So when you get into fight or flight, you want to activate your sage mind so you can navigate the situation. Go ahead. And it's important to remember that you can feel better. It feels awful at the time, but it really doesn't last forever. And it's also important to have some self-compassion at that moment and realize it's not your fault. Environments happen, you respond to it, and you get through it. So go ahead. So I just described mind shifting a little bit. That's an approach to harness the powers of your brain to get yourself out of fight or fright, and to create that state of mind where you can problem solve, connect with others, and navigate life with your sage mind. And this makes life easier and more comfortable. And the more time you spend living in what's comfortable from a sensory perspective, especially, the wider variety of environments become safe and feel good to be in. Go ahead. So some of the powers of the sage mind are empathy, exploring and evaluating, innovating. And I just described these for people who aren't familiar with it. Go ahead. For sensory overload specifically, I broke down some steps to activate your sage mind. The first thing is to recognize what's happening. Like, I'm in limbic mode because of the sensory environment. I did this once recently and it was really helpful. And then get some constructive self-talk going. Like, I can get through this. I know what to do. Or when I did it, I just said, I just have to sit down and rest, close my eyes, and I'll be fine. And then get yourself to a sensory friendly environment, because your brain needs a rest. As long as you're in an environment that's triggering your fight or flight, you can't get to your sage brain. So it's really important to get somewhere comfortable. Go ahead. Fourth, once you're in your safe sensory environment, use a calm down strategy. You can use a mindfulness technique, sensory toy, or a fidget, or spend time with a loved one. Sometimes loved ones can help give us some perspective that it was the environment and not something that we did wrong. And then choose a sage, one or more sage power, to reorient yourself and build resilience. So what I did when this happened to me was I planned out what I was going to do. Like, when I'm rested, I'm just not going to look at how busy the environment is. I'm going to look at the visually calm things, because I have a visual impairment that makes me go into sensory overload when there's too much visual stimulus. And then I just said, even if people want me to do this visually busy stuff that triggered me, I'm going to just explain, no, I have a visual impairment. I can't do that right now. And it worked. Go ahead. So if you're interested in more information like this, you can find me on Substack, Neely Learning Community.
Wow.
So that's what I did.
That's a really I mean, you captured it, and it's a really interesting perspective to hear it from um, a I guess
Mm-hmm.
neurodivergent point of view, and using it to expand the number of environments where you feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And
So yeah,
can I add, Mitch? I'm sorry.
yeah, please.
Elizabeth, this was spectacular. And I even found myself when I'm watching your presentation, even the visuals you chose, the
Oh,
rocks, every single picture, I'm like, this is like serene. This, and it automatically, I'm thinking, God, this is calming. I loved it. The one thing I will say is I loved how you said, you know what, I'm not doing that right now. I'm not, but one thing that I wonder always about is, I can just say no to this just because I feel like saying no, right?
Yeah.
And I think about how because I do this, right? Oh, blah, blah. No, I'm just gonna stand up and say no for no reason. Then I know, like no, but I loved it.
Thank you.
Excellent job. I loved it. It made me realize when you said that how often I offer, and it's not that we shouldn't. I'm just saying, I can say no just because I want to say no.
Hmm. Yeah. And
No.
especially people who are neurodivergent feel pressured to do things
Yeah.
that normal people do. And it's okay to say, no, I can't, my brain just won't let me do that.
Yeah. I'm just not going to, that's not going to happen for you.
Yeah.
Or as my husband loves to say, get it out of your head. It's not happening.
Yeah.
But he's got 40 years in with me, so he's allowed to say that. And we laugh about it, but nicely done. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and there's some other comments in the
Great
chat
comments in the
also.
chat.
People, saying that they loved it. So yeah, well, I'll see it on Substack too. I'm sure when you put it on Substack.
Thanks. Yeah. Let me know what you think.
Well, you already know what I think,
I know.
but I'll let the world know what I think.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, and thank you for volunteering to be first. And by the way, how was it to go first? How was it to go? Was No, I think you're muted. You may be muted.
Okay. Now I'm muted. It was
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem going first. It's easy because you can't see anyone. I couldn't see anyone.
Hmm. Okay. So, given that endorsement, who would like to go second?
I'll go second,
Oh, great.
which is really hard to go after that, but then it's done.
This
And
this
you
will
go,
this
check.
will be great. And let me make you co-host.
Oh, actually, I don't have access to the sites
Oh,
right here. Can you
okay.
run it,
Yes,
please?
um then
So mine is like super short and sweet, but there's a reason behind it as well, and I'll explain in just a second.
okay. And I think this is it, right?
I don't know yet. I can't see.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's it.
okay.
Okay, so I teach elementary PE. I have like 25 minutes with my students because we have to transition back to back with our classes at the same exact time. So my time is very short. My students are very young, and so one thing that I want to do is by having just a short, sweet teaching tool, but also what my intention to do for my bulletin board that's outside my gym, where they stand and wait as they're waiting to come into the gym for the next class, is to create something that kind of mirrors this. I have visuals of like mamas doing different kinds of sports. And so that way, when they're what we learn with this, they can reinforce into their visuals when they're waiting to come into the gym throughout the whole school year. There's the backdrop for my really super short and sweet um, mini lesson. So the first one is what if? Something to consider when you're feeling stuck. Please go to the next slide. So what if it's hard? What might you say? I don't want to. I can't do it. That's not fun. A lot of times we get into these places where we are feeling stuck, or these are the kinds of things that we're thinking or we're saying, because ultimately we're feeling that maybe it's not possible because it's just plain too hard. Something to consider. Next slide. What if you could do it? Then perhaps you might be thinking it might be fun. Then it might be worth doing. And maybe then I might be glad I did. That might be something you could consider could happen if you could do it. Next slide. What are some ways that you could? Perhaps I could ask for help. I could watch how others are doing it. I could try. Often, what I'm seeing is that if we're just willing to try, and then also what didn't work, because sometimes it doesn't always happen first time, second time, third time. But if we keep trying and we look at what isn't working, we learn what does, and then we learn how we can. Next slide. Then, what could you say? Perhaps I can. It could be worth trying. I may just like it. So you might consider when you find yourself either saying to yourself or saying out loud to me, I can't do it. This isn't fun. This is too hard. Perhaps I can instead. And you might find it just might be fun and you might be glad you did. And that is the end. So like
Wonderful.
I said, it's a super short and sweet, but my windows are small. My students are young
Yeah.
and they love animals. And so I chose something that would connect with my students.
Yeah.
So
It was so cool.
darn
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah. Isn't it?
Everybody loves llamas.
Yeah. Who doesn't like
Like
llamas?
the whole universe. It was so cute and so appropriate, right? And it was spot on for the people that you are serving. And actually, I was sitting here thinking, I could just record that and play it over on my phone every time I felt like, you know,
Oh, yeah.
awesome.
Right.
I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah. And it was so cool the way you walk them through the things that they might say to themselves, because I can just see, actually, I could hear myself saying that to me, and I'm not even a little kid, right? So, yeah, yeah, really well done. I think the kids are going to like this, and if there's any way that, I don't know if you ever go to conferences or regional things, or if you ever do PD yourself for other teachers, but I think this is something that other teachers could use. So, you might consider, a regional or a state or a national conference. This you could present this. Yeah, really, really great. Thank you. And again, there's some really good comments in the chat as well. Encouraging comments. Okay. And we're off. Who would like to go next? Who would like to present next?
I can go because it kind
Okay.
of leads into using it for PD. So in my role, I work with a team and we are online teachers. And so a lot of our students will see just for a short bit every day
Hmm.
and or on Zoom. And a lot of the conversations, especially toward like deadlines with grades, they start to get these fixed mindsets.
Hmm.
And so I've been telling my team about this training. And so what I came up with was a way to have more of a actual training for them. And
Oh. Hmm.
so we have a professional learning community once a week, and we don't have much time during it, but I've thought, well, maybe I could take, up to 15 minutes and I took the idea of a UDL um, for universal design learning for
Hmm.
like choice boards. And so I figured, they could choose what they want to do first, besides the reflection one. And then I came up with an example of a choice board that they could use for their students. So the teachers would know what each of these is from our lessons that we learned and they would be able to click on it because sometimes we're on Zoom with our kids too. They could click on it and then bring up the exercise with it. And so it'll say, hey,
Wow.
you're feeling stuck. Which one of these sounds fun or interesting? Let's just shift a bit what we're thinking, and then they can talk about it. And then so within, 5 minutes, you can de-escalate a kid from thinking, I can't do this, it's too hard, point of no return, I'm too far behind. And then anyway, just try to give them some tools to move on and have a positive mindset. So yeah.
So it's like a double shot. On the one
Yeah.
hand, you're training the teachers, and then
Yeah.
you're giving them a tool so
Yeah.
that they can, graphically do it with the kids, and the
Yeah.
kids have voice and choice in it because they get to choose.
Yeah. So, and I already told the team about it, and I said I told them I want to create a one pager, and I said I'll have it ready for you for next year. And anyways, I'm glad I had this assignment because now I don't have homework over the summer. So thanks.
Hmm. And and Sarah's the other Sarah's comment. I'd never heard the term choice board before, but I guess I've done you know choice things, but I love that term, and I'm going to use that.
Yeah, because it's definitely, I think gets them away from, that I learned from this when you say you can do it. If you say we're going to do this one, say, hey, which one sounds great? And already they have ownership and feeling like they do have choice in their behavior.
Yeah, Jane, Tammy, any?
Yeah, I think it's really, I'm always a big advocate of choice, so it's really good for them to like see what some of those options are, and it's really well laid out. I liked it.
I did too, and that's my choices. The minute you say that word, I don't know if anybody else has this reaction, but immediately I think, okay, I'm empowered. I'm empowered. So now, whatever I choose to do, again, it's by choice, and now I have to own that piece, right?
Hmm?
Yeah, it was lovely, and I love that you're going to work with teachers who then get to work with students.
Right,
That's
right,
excellent.
yeah,
That's my favorite. Yeah.
Ripple effect.
yep.
Cool.
Well, thank you, and thank you for sharing. Thank you. Not just sharing with us, but also thank you for sharing the idea of taking control over your mind and giving methods to other people. Wonderful, fantastic. Okay, who wants to?
I'll go
I can
next.
go. Oh,
Oh,
go
sorry.
Okay,
ahead. Go ahead,
right
Abby.
here,
Okay.
Abby, and then
Mine is very quick.
okay, and
I
Kylie.
can share my screen if you'd like.
Okay,
Thank you.
so this is Kylie, right?
This is
Okay,
Abby.
this is Abby. Okay, um,
Thank you.
let me.
So while he's sharing, I'll just kind of give you a little background. Mine is quite simple, but I teach elementary school, and as we all know, it's June. So I was trying to find something that I could actually use with my kids that might be helpful. So I'll show you. I actually, we are very fortunate where we have our social worker come in like once a month, and she talks about different topics like mindfulness. She talks about bubble breaths. So we do a lot of that. So we try to incorporate something in like our SEL time. So I was kind of pondering some things that she did that were really fun. So I tried this. I don't know if anyone has ever seen this, maybe you have, but it's basically called Mindfulness and the Art of Chocolate Eating because kids just love candy, especially now. So today we did like a Jeopardy game, and of course we all won at the end because it's June again and we're just trying to review and close things up. But basically what you do is you give them like a small chocolate bar, like a Hershey's mini, and then you have like I turned off the lights. It was a quiet space. So the goal was really to just focus on being mindful while you're eating the chocolate. So it's a very simple way of teaching mindfulness. And it was hilarious because there were so many kids who just opened it and they were like ready to bite into it. I'm like, no, 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 don't bite into it. So basically I have heard of this and seen it, but I kind of felt like I could write down these steps, and we have like an SEL drive, a Google Drive. So I was able to make this, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to put this in there and see if anybody else wants to try it. So really you go through before you even open it, you look at the wrapper, you feel the wrapper, you describe the wrapper, the words that they were coming up with, and then you look at the chocolate. Then I was getting like, what does it smell like when you smell it? And everybody was like, it smells like chocolate. Or I got Hershey's World. It smells like a candle. So there was a variety of things. And then when we put the chocolate in our mouth, you were really supposed to let it sit there and like melt and taste, and then we practiced the like slowly swallowing. So it was just super interesting. just like a very short mini lesson, but just a very calm way to do something. And it really helped us like get into our next thing for the day. And then I just did a very short whiteboard. When I ate chocolate mindfully, I felt. So it was just kind of a different way to do this. And I was able to put this in my shared drive for my elementary teachers.
Wow. How old are the kids?
I teach fourth grade,
Fourth
and
grade.
they thought this was a ball.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I my kinders, that sounds so fun. Like, what a great. I always think about when you try to get kids to start writing and you have them like make a sandwich, but you have to do
Hmm.
it exactly how they say it. Like, put the peanut butter on it, and you take your hand and you put the peanut butter on it, and we're like, no, 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 with the knife, and like getting
Yes,
the
the
description.
steps.
I feel like this is a great way to get the descriptions out of them, not just the steps, but like the descriptions of what they're feeling and sensing. And I really like it. Really good.
Well, thank you.
There's a different exercise. Um, Now I'm forgetting what the it's a type of visualization where you walk through those exact same questions, but you're using it on a remembered experience. And when you do that, and it was a fun remembered experience, that also resets your mind. And I wonder, having done this now with kids, if like the next day without the chocolate, you remember when we did this yesterday and you walk them through the same questions, if that will have an effect also. I'm just, I'm curious because my guess is that it would, but I don't know. I think that it'd be fun to try.
And of course, my favorite thing is when I think about what you're doing, I think about the senses. And of course, as a science teacher, I just think, oh, that's powerful, right? Because there are certain places on your tongue for bitterness and sweet and sour. And it would be interesting to have kids put the chocolate in different places in their mouth and have them describe what their experience. It's a lovely, lovely thing to do. And I think it just really brings everybody back to mindfulness. I was reading this article around research once, and it said we really only taste probably the first two or three bites we take of food. After that, we're just eating, right? And I this is so powerful. Thank you for sharing. It was lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I imagine this will be useful, but for other teachers as well. Really
Oh
useful.
yeah.
Yeah.
And for other experiences.
Yes. Right. Yep. And I see, Samantha saying you can appreciate any food this way. And I would say yes, except I hate beets, and I would hate to have somebody make me do this with beets.
Mitch, you know what's going to happen the next time we see each other.
Yeah, yeah, I shouldn't have said anything.
Just saying.
Mhm. Yeah, a lot of my wife loves beets, but not me.
That's because they're good, Mitch. They're
They're
delicious.
disgusting. I'm with you, Mitch.
Okay.
It's
Okay, and then Kylie, you were muted before.
Yep,
You
I'll
willing to
go.
go?
I'll go.
Okay.
Do you want to share?
Sure. So now I'm
Okay,
gonna have to find
sorry.
no, 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 no.
So,
It's fine. It's just that because these aren't in alphabetical order. Um,
so I wanted to do sort of like a how-to for my students, because they're young, but I also wanted to do something for educators in my school or like staff. Really, I wanted it to apply to everybody. So I did just like a simple guide, like a quick guide for getting
yep.
sage mode. So just, step one, notice what's going on, asking yourself, am I reacting emotionally or out of habit? What am I telling myself right now? Step two, pause and breathe. Taking 3 slow, deep breaths. Feel your feet on the floor. Say to yourself, I'm okay. I'm just having a moment. Step three, using a sage question. So, like, what would I love to happen instead? What's one small step I can take right now? Is this stress helping me grow? Step four, reframing the story. So saying, perhaps I can, or this is exactly how I'm supposed to feel when I try something new, or I only have to take the next step, then I can reevaluate. And then step five, move with purpose. So choose an action that lines up with the kind of person you want to be, not just how you feel right now. So I wanted a how-to, and I wanted it to be simple for my kids because they're young. But I didn't want educators or anybody adult-wise feeling overwhelmed at what they were looking at.
Hmm.
So that's it, really.
I could really see this being used, you know, um, as a step-by-step guide. First of all, teaching the kids this. Second of all, and co-regulating when they need it. And then eventually, this as a cheat sheet for the kids that they could walk themselves through this.
Right.
Yeah, it's perfect. Really good.
Thank you.
And it's interesting because you pull together so many different things. It's just, the noticing what's going on, the pausing and breathe is part of the self commander. The using a sage question to go into sage mode, reframing the story, the positive self talk, and then choosing an action is really the fifth of the sage power. So yeah, you pulled together a lot of different elements. Yeah, and it's a great cheat sheet. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for a wonderful step by step way to helping people reset. And who would like to go next?
I can go.
Okay. Um, and let me find you. Heather, just talk again because you'll come up near the top
Yep.
if you as you talk again.
Okay.
And
So,
oh no, I can't. Oh, there you are. Got it.
this is a super simple slideshow, and it was created with my fifth graders. So
Oh, wonderful.
we do a lot of sharing, especially right now, because that's what keeps them engaged.
Hmm.
So I've been sharing a lot about what I've been doing with this course, and they've been really stuck on the changing the script.
Oh,
So I decided to go with that. And much like somebody before me said, they have a social worker that comes in and does some lessons. We have one of our counselors who does a lesson every month that kind of matches our character trait. And the very last one was about a week ago, and they got to do skits that they could use what they had learned to be able to show how that could go. So that's what I decided to do, and they helped me to write the scenarios to be very applicable to what's happening to a fifth grader in the spring of this year. Um, is my screen being shared?
um, no. Well, so I can share if you
If you
can.
could, I don't
Okay.
think it's working for me. Thank you.
Okay.
So all of these focus on changing the script, and we broke the students up, and each group created the actual scenario for me to put into the slideshow. So the second slide gives just a recap of, okay, now that we know how the strategies to use in changing our script and changing the way we approach things, now we're going to try it. So each team gets a scenario, and the job is to actually present the skit in the way where there's a more negative response, or that script that tells us we can't do something, or this is too hard, or it's just not going to work for me today. And then they redo the skit using a different response, a different script, and a strategy that they use to kind of change how that result happens in hopes that it's a more positive outcome. So then scenario one, falling behind in a reading assignment, and the teacher approaches you to see what's going on. You tell her you just don't have enough time because you are too busy. I hear this literally every day. We have baseball practice, and we have lacrosse, and we have underwater basket weaving, and who knows what else. So they run the skit first with this script that they just can't do it. And then the second time they run it through with how would you change the way that you share that with the teacher. And a lot of them, the teacher in this scenario, when they acted them out, the teacher actually did the prompting, because we've been using the perhaps you can And so they all played different roles in that one. And then scenario 2, fractions have been really tough. When the assessment hits your desk, you immediately feel stressed and start reminding yourself how hard it has been and how you are not good at fractions. And so same process. They show the skit in this way, and then they change the script and go through a different strategy to help them get through the assessment and do their best. And
These are
then
really cool scenarios. I mean, they're so typical from what a kid goes through, right?
it very much was them. There was a little prompting here and there, but they really liked putting these together. It was kind of cool. I have a lot of baseball players, so there was a crew of them that put this one together. Your first time playing a new position for your sport, and you don't think you're any good at that position. You find yourself getting angry with your coach for putting you there. So you tell a teammate you're so mad and don't know why the coach would do this to you. And then this one got really dramatic at times. I have I have two groups that I teach. So I have a teammate and we kind of split our kids half and half. So it was really funny too to see the two different groups approach them in different ways. Scenario 4, you're tired, you had a bad day, now you don't want to go to practice. You lay on your bed instead of getting ready for practice, even though you know you're going to frustrate your parent or guardian who needs to take you. I think that was supposed to be who needs to. And scenario 5, 2 days in a row, your close friend has not sat next to you in lunch. You can't think of anything that would have made your friend upset with you. You start to think of all the things that might make her not want to sit with you. And this makes you very sad and anxious. So this one actually does stem from some things that are going on with some of my crew this year. So it was kind of neat for them to put that together. And then the final component is they reflect back independently, not with their groups anymore, and just do a quick response of a script that they're using that in their life and how they could make adjustments to that.
How fun is that?
So we had fun creating it and doing it. So it was neat. It was neat to put it all together in the classroom.
And personally, I mean, I could see just the way you did it. This could be used two different ways. A teacher could take this and run this through with their kids, and that by itself would be a really fun activity.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other way is that taking this idea, the teacher could have one period where the kids in groups come up with their own scenarios, and then they shuffle them or something, and then at another period they're creating and acting their scripts. So
Yeah.
it's useful in a number of different ways. How much what a fun way to learn.
You know what I love most about it is, well, I love a lot of things, and I think of a lot of ways you could use it. But the fact that these kids had to brainstorm this is is so powerful that they are reflecting on their own life experiences and how their scripts probably aren't the truth, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it could be, but they actually get to reflect on, not, gee, my best friend's a jerk because they won't sit by me, but did something happen? And then let's walk the walk. I loved it. Excellent job.
You and Tammy, you could even it's kind of game like, so you could.
I thought about that, but I was trying to get my game stuff out of the thing. But I'm like, this is like a game, a role playing game.
Yeah, right.
Fabulous.
You could use it for your PD. You got 4 days.
Yeah,
You kind of fold
I
it
got
in.
a few more days of it going.
Feel like just these things would be great just for adults too. Like when we have our own conflicts and we're trying to like not tell ourselves the stories. Like while she was reading them, I'm thinking, yeah, I know I've definitely felt that way
Mhm.
before.
Right. And being able to role play both ways. It's like because it's
Yep.
funny, when you role play the bad way and you over dramatize it, you realize how ridiculous you've been thinking it, and then you think a positive way of doing it, and you're much more open to it. Yeah, great. Um, Thank you. And I think there were some comments in the chat as well. Yeah, it was awesome. It's fun, right? Okay, who wants to present next?
I could go.
Okay.
That's okay. I mean, Heather's just reminded me of mine because I also have scenario cards in my lesson, but hers was so great. So now I feel like I'm about to lower the bar for everybody after me.
I'm sure that's not true.
No,
That's
everybody says that,
that's
and
your
then they're
part
all
X.
completely
Yeah,
exceptional.
probably. But yeah, you could share it, or I could just kind of give an overview. I don't
Okay.
have it pulled up. I can pull
Okay.
it.
So um
So
I
what
have
I
to
did was
well I'll share it, but I just have to find it. There it is. Okay. Fight, flight, or freeze. Got it.
Mhm.
Oh, and you know something? I got it, but I'm not sharing it, right? I'm looking at it. Sorry, sorry, sorry.
Okay. So I wanted to come up with something kind of simple just because I'm not in the classroom yet, but I wanted something, and I'm not sure what grade I'll be in next year. So I wanted
Mhm.
something I can easily modify for kinder to fifth since I'll be somewhere in that range. And I feel like coming up with stress responses and talking about that is something that all the kids can relate to, even adults. When you talk about it, you can always generate some conversation about what kind of response you connect with the most. But when I was thinking about it, I didn't necessarily want this to be a lesson where the kids are just labeling themselves. It's really just about conversations on what the stress responses are and how you can cope with those. So, really getting into how you can cope with those responses. So, the plan is just so that they can come to an understanding of them, gain awareness of the triggers, and then obviously talking about coping strategies for the to help manage the stress. So, you can do this with just talking about it in a discussion to start, talking about if they felt scared or anxious. Obviously, most of your students are going to say yes. And a lot of times I've noticed, even when I talk about it with my husband, you think that oh yeah, I freeze up in this situation. But when I was talking about it with him, he's like, no, you don't. You're a flight risk. And I'm like,
Mm,
what do you mean? No, I'm not. And when you start having conversations about it, he's like, "No, remember this situation or that when this happened." I'm like, "Oh, you're right. I am a flight risk."
mm,
So it kind of goes back to when we were talking about how self-awareness can be really meaningful too. So I think anytime you can get your students more self-aware, because they definitely are not, even I'm not, so even more so your students are not so self-aware. So I thought this would be a fun way to have them get into the conversation of what kind of stress response um, they might think that they are in different situations. So the poster kind of gives different situations of what each look like, the fight, flight, or freeze. I put in some videos you can watch. The activity is using scenario cards, so you can do lots of different scenarios, speaking in front of the class. If you encounter a barking dog getting locked out of the house, something catches on fire, so you can kind of put them into groups. Think about what might be triggered, why, and then discuss their findings. And then you can kind of go in. This could be a 1 day thing. You can kind of stretch it out over the course of a couple days if you wanted to. But the big thing is just wrapping up with introducing coping strategies. There's a couple more videos I linked to do that. And you can have them create either a poster, it could be a drawing illustrating what they learned. So they could choose to illustrate the freeze, the flight, or the fight response, and then just talk about it and just kind of encourage those creative discussions and talk about the coping strategies, what they think would work the best for them. And yeah, that's kind of just where I went with it.
wow, you really have a lot of interaction and you have a lot of different activities that the kids are doing and you approach it from different ways and it's very complete. So,
My
yeah.
favorite thing, what I love is you have visuals, you have video, you have all these ways for kids to make sense of what's going on. Loved it. Excellent job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the kids are going to love it when you try that with them. And yeah, Elizabeth brought this up, but now I'm not sharing, so you don't see where I'm scrolling. But I love that fight, flight, freeze, stress responses in kids. I like that chart. And I think people can find this pretty easily on the internet also, this chart. If well, you have it here, so you can copy and paste it from here if you wanted to. So yeah, great job. Thank you. So yeah. And who would like to go next?
I can go.
Okay, April.
If you
And
can I share my screen?
sure. I have to find you on this list
I
of the.
might be the last one.
Oh, so yeah, what happens is, well, on Zoom, what happens is, people are kind of in a random sequence, and then when you start talking, you kind of pop up to the top. So,
Oh, okay. I'm
okay,
talking.
yep. So, do
I'm
you want me to
talking.
share, or do you want to share?
If you can I share? Also, just while you're
Oh,
I have this fidget which I thought was so perfect. I don't know if you can see. If you breathe mindfully,
oh wow.
it spins. Anyway, I just thought that was like
I
perfect
love
for
that.
kids. So I got that today. Someone gave it to me. So okay. Can I share my screen?
You should be able to.
Okay, man. Give me just a quick click or two. This one. Okay. All right. Can you
Yep,
see?
it's there, right?
Okay, so I was listening to a podcast recently that kind of talked about 4 modes that we want students to be in, and it just kind of really resonated with me. And sometimes giving something a name that's easily accessible to talk about helps me to like process it, if that makes sense. And so the 4 modes were passenger mode, achiever mode, resistor mode, and explorer mode. And those just really made sense to me to like a quick way to talk about how students are responding and how they're engaging. And so I kind of thought about how I could integrate what I've been learning in this class with kind of those modes and kind of identifying some routine or like habits or behaviors that kind of go along with those. And so that's what I kind of did, what it looks like, and then maybe ways to get out of it or to get into it or to stay in that mode. And so passenger mode looks like coasting, doing the bare minimum, letting others do the work, not engaged, not curious. And that curiosity is kind of that big piece that we want. And so passenger mode has that lack of curiosity. Thinking about why students might be in passenger mode. And then a few ways to get out of it. So setting goals, trying the perhaps I can. I feel like that one can go with a couple of different of the modes, but it might work with passenger mode if things especially are too hard or if students are bored. So to get out of passenger mode, finding ways to get them curious, helping students recognize that bored is a state of mind and they can change their state of mind, giving them opportunities to pursue their interests. The way that I was explained the achiever mode, they just called it achiever mode, but I wanted to make sure that people understand that it's overachiever mode. That's the risky part about it. And so I kind of added that, but it's the danger of achiever mode or overachiever mode is the striving for perfection. And so when that takes over, then you are unwilling to take risks and things like that. So it looks like striving for perfection, needing to win or be the best, a lack of joy in the pursuit of excellence. So you're pursuing excellence, but it kind of like takes away from it, the process. It can, in students who are like toxic overachievers, that can correlate to burnout and high rates of bad mental health, doing anything to win or succeed, things like cheating, taking, shortcuts when really you're not learning, but things like AI, getting down on yourself if you don't get it right or just perfect. So then on the other side, I have getting out of overachiever mode, putting the emphasis on the process, not the outcome, and having emphasis on the power of yet. Failure is a powerful teacher, model vulnerability and mistakes, and helping students to consider if they're following an unrealistic script. And I'm so sorry I got excited and got ahead of myself. I was making this with the thought of like sharing with other teachers in mind. So thinking about sharing with my PLC or at my August Institute coming up in
And this would
August.
be
So
such a wonderful, if you're again going to a conference to present to other
yeah,
teachers too.
yeah. So like colleagues.
Mhm.
And then resistor mode, I think we're all pretty familiar with that one. Problem child acting out. Sometimes it's withdrawn or just refusal to engage. But I thought that perhaps you can would work really well with this one as well. I've already used it with students who are in resistor mode, but just a few kind of tidbits to go with that one, focusing on relationship, offer predictability. There can be a lot of reasons for resistor mode. I feel like you could have 10 slides on resistor mode. But I'm still working on this one. I feel like this one feels incomplete to me. I'm going to keep adding to it. But the two that I thought, bullet points that I thought went well from this class were the perhaps you can, and then acknowledging the resistance without power struggles. And so saying, I see you're not ready to jump in yet, want to watch me this round and do it next time. And then helping students to set small goals. Like, okay, maybe you can't do the whole thing, but what about this small step that you could take? I felt like that connected with what I've been learning about here. Okay, and then explorer mode. So this is where we want students. We want them to be like curious and engaged and wanting to learn. And that's hard to do. And so like, what does it look like? Proactive learning, curiosity driven, asking questions that they genuinely want answers to, setting goals, adapting along the way, deeply engaged, accepting gray areas, and creative and divergent. So kind of the way that I felt like it connected to what I've been learning here is how can I help students stay in explorer mode? So things like curiosity check-ins. What do you still don't understand about a topic, and explore that. Using metacognition, so having students regularly reflect on what interests them, and then kind of reflecting on what helped them to stay in the flow. So was it your space? Was it the topic? Was it something physiological that like kind of got you into a groove? And then how can you translate that to a topic that you're less interested in for students? Also, just making an environment that rewards risk taking and divergent thinking, and creative, authentic problem solution scenarios. That's hard to do. That's one that I strive for. Like, I feel like there's always some curriculum to get through, and I wish it was more about like problem-based learning, but that's really tricky to do. And then my next slide kind of goes on to how I think I'm going to use this, but this next one is how I think I will use it a lot. Like, sometimes explorer mode just means participating in class discussions, sharing your idea, responding to what other people say, instead of just sitting back and letting other people kind of share all of their ideas. So just my final thought is I'm still kind of like mulling this over and processing it. And so my vision is to have a poster that has the 4 modes on it. And so I regularly give my 7th graders like time to reflect at the end of an assignment or the end of a lesson, and have them kind of share like, how they think they did. But also I'm thinking of having a poster where they can say what mode they were in. I feel like this might work well with daily work. Like were you actively engaged, or were you just kind of phoning it in and giving them the vocabulary of passenger mode, achiever mode, resistor mode, explorer mode to talk about it? I kind of wonder if 7th graders are ready for that kind of vocabulary. I'm not sure, but I'm going to try it out and see. I'm a little hesitant about the overachiever mode. I don't know if they're ready for that, but I do think that some students would be like, that would give them a sigh of relief, because they do put a lot of pressure on themselves. So I don't know. I'm still mulling that part over.
Those 4 different modes. It's um, the 3 uh, I guess saboteur modes, I guess I would call them. And then the sage mode or the explorer mode. I think that captures it. Um I first of all, this is the way, we want kids to be thinking about this, and we want teachers to be thinking about this also. So this is perfect for professional development. And I suspect that 7th graders, can learn to classify themselves, and a teacher can co-regulate by saying, of these 4, which do you think you are today, and what do you think would move you to explorer mode? Um, and so you're kind of co-regulating with them, because you're giving them the vocabulary, and then you're giving them the ability eventually to be able to self-regulate, because they understand the vocabulary and they've heard people um, coaching them. So this really does, I think this would be very motivational for kids, and help them self-direct and become kind of autodidactics. And that it's the way school
Yeah.
should be, right?
Yeah. And having taught 7th grade, the kids can deal with this language, and they can deal with the thought process behind it. They already know if they're engaged or not engaged. And they already, we may not have given them the vocabulary, but they, by seventh grade, they are very aware of where they are and what it takes to motivate them.
I sometimes worry that they'll just make a joke of it. And so I don't want to like create an opportunity where they're going to be like, oh, I'm an overachiever today.
You know what? But here's what's great about that, April. Even you don't, well, first of all, you don't get to choose if they make a joke out of it, right? You don't get to choose how they react. But I will say, even if they do, they're using the language and they're self-identifying. So even if they're fine, even if they're like right, because they may not be in a space where they feel self-actualized enough to say, oh, I'm here and here. Even if they're doing what you say they do, that means they're getting it, which is still a gift.
Yeah, I'll use those. Thank you, April. Really good. And Cerise, you'd volunteered to go next.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see. Can you see my screen?
It's coming up. There we are.
Okay, perfect. So I just made a presentation for my second graders about mindfulness and growth mindset. So the first slide, just learning to grow means understanding that we can improve with practice and believe in ourselves, even if we struggle. I wanted to do mindfulness and growth mindset specifically for my class because I just have a few kids that will immediately shut down if they're not perfect at something. I have one boy that, for example, with his writing, if some of his letters don't look just perfect, he'll just crumple up his paper and throw it away. Or like same with art, he'll rip up his paper and start crying and say he's not going to do it. So I really want my kids to practice growth mindset and know that it's okay to make mistakes and just keep practicing, keep trying. So the next slide is mindfulness made fun. Mindfulness means paying attention to what's happening right now, helps us feel calm and happy. By taking deep breaths and focusing on our thoughts, we can enjoy our time and be more aware of our feelings. And then there's a chance for us to practice being mindful together. So we would do like some breathing exercises together or the finger tapping technique or picking out different things we see around us. And then the next slide is about growth mindset. So it says, believe in yourself, keep trying no matter what. It means believing that you can learn and improve with practice and that everybody makes mistakes and that's okay. And when you say, I can't do it yet, you remind yourself that with effort you can succeed. So that's like the power of yet or the introduction to that. And then the next slide is focusing on the power of yet. So I put the power of yet means that even if you can't do something now, it doesn't mean that you'll never be able to. And if you keep practicing and trying, you will get better. And remember, it's okay to not know everything yet. Just keep believing in yourself and learning. And then this slide just has everything kind of broken down again. So it has the top part about mindfulness and some things we can do to be mindful, growth mindset and what that means and how we can have a growth mindset, and then the power of yet and what that means. And then just a little ending here, just reminding them everything that we learned for the day. So just a quick, easy little lesson. And I thought we could add that to like our morning meeting time.
Yeah, it's really practical. The graphics are great. And Sarah De Palma's bringing up the Sesame Street song, "The Power of Yet," and then the way you've pulled together, kind of resetting the brain, with mindfulness, and then once the brain is reset, to then tapping into the resourceful parts of the brain with growth mindset and the power of yet it's kind of a two-step process that gets kids channeled to be able to access their sage powers. Really,
Yeah.
really good.
I thought you captured it all very nicely and very succinctly. Nicely done.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And hopefully you share with some other teachers too, that other teachers can use it because it's really worthwhile. Okay. Who would like to share now?
I'll go.
Okay, great. Let me see if I can find you here.
Sage brain mindset. It's like under that. That's what I.
Okay. So I was looking to make, okay. I was looking for you to share, but I can do it this way. So
Okay.
um, let me get it on my screen. I have to find my cursor. Okay, and let me share it. Okay, there we are.
All right. Good. So overall, like I work in high school, so I deal with all types of grades, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, and PE health. So, when you're in high school, you go through a lot of like negative things throughout your mind, especially going into your freshman year. You're in a new school, new setting, and there's like a lot going on, and you're like the new students on the block. And then your sophomore, junior year, you're really focusing on like getting good grades, focusing on PSATs, SATs to get into the college that you want. And then your senior year, you're trying to enjoy it and trying to live it, but at the same time, like you kind of unsure what the future is going to be like. So you're kind of nervous about the what the future's ahead. So I did the topic that I picked was understanding stage brain mindset. I really got into that during this like course, like being able to channel all the negative thoughts going through in your mind and your brain, and trying to keep a positive mindset. And yeah, that's when I started. That was like my first part. I have little cartoon characters of all the brains, so it was funny. So like next slide. So my objective, so I would like kind of give out the definition, understanding what a stage brain mindset is, and learn how to calm your mind down when you're in a stressful situation. So that's what I would like kind of like bring up and tell the kids like this is what we're going to be learning, and this is like all the techniques that I'm going to show you, and how to calm your mind down, and how to conquer all different types of thoughts that go through your mind and go through your head, so you can be calm in a situation. So go on to the next slide. So I would go over the definition. What is a sage brain mindset? And then I would say the ability to overcome challenges with resilience to avoid impulsive reactions is crucial. So I basically go into depth about like how that there's like different types of ways that there's like different types of breathing exercises that you can do to like kind of like calm yourself down, not be so anxious, and try to accomplish the goals. Also too, like I would kind of like teach and tell kids like how to like like if they're presenting a project or like giving out a speech in front of their class, to like show them a different technique on how to, really focus on like you're going to accomplish this goal. It's going to sound great. It's going to sound amazing, and everything's going to be just fine, and you're going to be good to go. And then next slide. And then I usually do this. It's like a 3-3 breathing exercise technique. So I do this with my students. So I would say like the first step is to breathe in deeply for 3 seconds. I would tell my kids to do that. And then after that, I would do a second step, which is hold your breath for another 3 seconds. So I have my students do that. And then the final step would be gently exhale for 3 seconds and repeat. I have students do this multiple times. Sometimes I have success with it. Half of them be like, "Oh, this really worked out. This really like made me calm and made me like relaxed." And other students be like, "Oh, I didn't really like kind of work out that much." So I kind of get like a 50-50 split with that. But it's like a different type of breathing exercise to like just calm your mind down, stay focused, and get rid of the anxiety. And then my next slide. And then like a scenario. Let's say you forgot to study for your test last night and your test is today. What will you do to calm yourself down? I have students get into groups of like 3 or 4, like try to think of a strategy on like what to do to like conquer the test, and not let that doubt overcome you. So I would have students like kind of get in groups of 4 and come up with some ideas and share with the class, and that would be my scenario. And students would respond in like 4 to 5 minutes. And then the next slide. And then I would do like a little partner activity at the end and be like, I'll get them in groups of 4 and come up with it. And they can come up with their own stressful scenario. They can create a scenario to use your same sage brain mindset to be able to calm your mind down and accomplish the task. And I would just have them like create a scenario on like a stressful situation. It could be like their personal maybe trying out for a basketball team or trying out for the football team, or maybe like trying to get a play in an act for high school, or trying to do well in a chorus concert. So, or they could just make it up too. So like I have like a partner activity, and they can create situations, or they can use their real life situations of what they're going through to maybe accomplish a goal. And then my final would be like a little exit ticket. I would kind of want to see like if they learned any interesting things from my lesson, or what did they get out of it? Did they learn something new, or did it help out, or any of my advice helped out? Or like some students might feel like, oh, it kind of really didn't help out that much, or and I guess some students are like, oh, that really did help out. So like I kind of want to see like a perspective of like if they really like enjoyed the lesson and really got something out of it. So that would be my exit ticket.
I love seeing this stuff in use in high school. I mean, and I love it in elementary too. And I know what an impact it is, but as a secondary teacher, it is so great to see this lesson and how much thought you put into it to work with high school students, because they're heading into adulthood, and I think every adult I've ever met could use this course. But excellent job. Thank you for highlighting high school.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, from an instructional design standpoint, it's just like I
Yep.
look at the great graphics, okay, that you built in choice and voice and content and learning by doing and reflection. So it's like,
Uh-huh.
you pulled it all into this lesson to be able to teach something that's going to benefit these kids the rest of their lives.
Thank you. I
So,
appreciate that.
yeah.
Thanks.
No, thank you. Yeah, okay. And then Cassandra, I guess you would let me you want
I
to
have
start?
it. I have it if you want me to
Okay.
share my screen.
Sure. So now I have to find you to give you talk a little bit more
Oh,
so you
so
you
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 need me
float
to
to the
talk.
top. Right.
Okay.
I found you. And let me co-host. Yes. Okay.
Awesome. Are we good?
I think so.
Everybody can see my screen.
No,
Okay, well,
not
I
yet.
will prep.
You can't see your
Oh,
screen yet.
okay.
I don't think you're sharing yet.
Oh,
You can
hold
share.
on. Okay. 1 second. Is it not working?
Darn.
Share entire screen. Is it working now?
No.
Do you want to just find me on the list, I guess?
Yes, I can.
I don't know why. Yeah, it's asking me to choose what to share, and I said share entire screen. I don't know.
I don't know. Did you sacrifice one of your kids to the tech gods today?
Oh
Because
my
if you
gosh,
forgot to do
no.
that,
I was on a 4th grade field trip all day, so no.
oh, then karma should have been
I
good
did
for you.
not.
I don't know. Okay, so I think I have it here.
Nope, that's not mine.
That's not. Would I choose the wrong one? Oops.
Maybe.
From I can't do this to perhaps I can. Right? Is that?
Mm-mm.
This is the one next to your name, or did I choose the wrong Cassandra?
You might have the wrong Cassandra.
Oh, you're.
Mine's mine's a
It's the
simple
Canva.
Canva.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. So I will preface, I work in a blended sped room, mostly 2nd and 3rd graders. A lot of them are volatile and have big issues trying to problem solve. And so I am a paraeducator for that room. So most of the stuff that I do is already laid out for me. I already have the curriculum. So this is pretty simple of something that I would do if I were to introduce mindfulness and like empowering kids to, stay calm and solve problems. And I chose as pause, breathe, and choose. Keep it really simple. My background is green because we already work with the zones of regulation, and so my kids are already
familiar with green zone, which is the optimal zone to stay in for being calm, focused, and successful. So if you want to go to the next screen. Learning target is students will learn the basics of mindfulness and practice using self-commands to help with focus, self-regulation, and problem solving. And then I just have a list of kind of what we would go through. So if you want to go to the next. So it just describes like mindfulness and what it is, like paying attention to what's happening right now. It's like turning on a flashlight in your brain. You take notice of what you hear, what you see, and what you are thinking. It helps us to stay calm and make good choices. And so we would try with a breathing exercise. And I had a kid that went to an outside location. He actually went to a children's hospital here locally, and he showed me this one where you pretend that there's a balloon on your head and you do 3 breaths and then you let it out, and you do that until you're ready to learn. So I liked that, so I put that one in there as a breathing technique. But like many of others have said, they have counselors or somebody else that comes in. We have a counselor that's in our building all day, and she handles all of the mindfulness stuff too in our building. So I'm sure she has other breathing exercises. Next slide. So what are self-commands? We just go over talking about these are the helpful things that we say to ourselves, little reminders of what to do to help us stay on track and problem solve. And without them, it's easy to stay in a freeze state, which that state is sabotaging your progress or resolving your problems or conflict resolution that you may run into. Next slide. I gave some examples of some positive self-commands that we could go through. So we can ask for help if we need it. We can try it a different way. And we can also stay calm. And something that we can do together is we can say, I can handle this. Because a lot of my kids, they don't have that belief yet that they can do it. They want the adult to solve all the problems. So next slide. And then why do mindfulness and self-commands help? And then I will go in and talk about that on the next. So when you have a problem, you might feel angry, sad, upset, confused. Mindfulness helps you take notice of those feelings to help you stay calm. And the self-commands help you decide what to do next to solve a problem before it gets too big. Next. And then we can put it into practice. I chose this, and I know it might seem really elementary, but in our classroom, we have a tiered drawer system that has pencils, erasers, all the tools that the kids would need, so they don't have to bring all of that with us because they are going back between Gen Ed and our SPED room. And so we have a bucket on top of that stacked drawer that has pencils that don't work or are broken or are not sharp enough. And so it's part of them problem solving. And this happened the other day where somebody broke a pencil during an assignment, and instead of knowing what they should do and following through, they decided to throw a fit and scream and cry. So I know it seems silly, but it was actually something that happened. So my put into practice is, you pencil breaks during a test or an assignment, you can either cry or yell, or you can take a deep breath and say a self-command. And I think that's it on that slide. If you want to go to the next one. Now, this is where we can do it ourselves. We can make our own self-command to think of something that you can say to yourself next time you have a challenge or a problem. Some examples are, I can take deep breaths, I can wait, I can figure out a different way to solve this. One way we can do this is you can do like a sticky note or a note card with your own personal self-command. You can color it, you can keep it on your desk, we can tape it to your desk. And it's a way to have that visual reminder. Most of my kids are visual, they do need that. And it's just a good activity to get them involved and to take ownership of it because we can give them all the examples of the self-commands, but they might not all work. So if they take ownership of it, of what that self-command does and how it works in their personal life, they might be able to stay focused and actually use it. And then next slide. These are just some additional resources. There's a book that says I Can Do Hard Things. They're mindful affirmations for kids. Um, if time permits, I know my SEL, I have an SEL group in the morning and an SEL group in the afternoon, just because certain kids can't be with other kids. So we have to split them up. But you can make a glitter bottle, and there's a link to like a DIY. And I did this, something similar when my kids were little and I was a stay-at-home mom. It was just with like, I think gel and then some sensory items in like a Ziploc, but this is a little bit more advanced. And then there's also a pinwheel or a breathing ball that you can keep, they can have at the desk with them to help practice. And then if they need examples, which some kids do, we can have laminated self-command cards, and it gives them an opportunity to have it in front of them. They can write on it with dry eraser if they need to and erase it. And I think that might be the end of it. Yep.
Can't forget to thank you, right?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Oh, it's fabulous. You know what? I love how well, first of all, I love how you explain why the green is in the background. And I love how you are so focused on your kids and what they need in order to, like, even a freaking pencil. Like, I love it when teachers are like, no, we're not going to give you a pencil. You should have brought it. What? Give them a freaking pencil, right? So I love that, but I also love the part where you're just supporting them to get through their day, right? And like I can imagine, like I'm not neurodivergent that I know of, and I can tell you if a pencil had snapped in the middle of a test for me, I'd have gone off the deep end. Like that would have been life altering. And I love how you can predict what kids may need, and yeah, excellent job.
Oh, thank you. No, I've been with them all year, so I have a good pulse on the things that set them off.
Yeah. Great job.
The way you brought up the things that really do affect them. So it's not just, out there things, it's things that you know that these kids face. And I think who I think Heather brought it up in the chat also. The idea of the kids writing their own post-it or their own card about how they can calm themselves, and then leaving on their desks. It's like, wow, what a great idea. So yeah, very, very complete. And, and I think that would be helpful to other teachers also if you get a chance to share it with other teachers. Yeah. Great work. And and everybody can see why we love this so much because you all come up with such great ideas. So thank you. Okay, who would like to present?
I can.
Oh, great. Thank you.
But I haven't submitted the PowerPoint yet.
Okay.
I will. I'm working on it.
Okay.
But I'll just give you a brief overview of what I'm doing.
Do you want to show it or do you want to just give a brief overview?
I'm just going to give a brief overview.
Okay. All right.
I found out on Thursday or Friday that I'm not teaching science next year. So
Wow.
that threw me. So I changed. I decided to do one about test taking anxiety and going through, I teach middle school, and for testing anxiety and going through and saying like why and how is it stressful for them, and then coming up with some of the strategies. Like I just wrote a couple notes here. If I feel anxious, closing your eyes or counting your breaths, drawing a picture of something. I think that I added that in from the tighten and relax muscles, like all of those activities. Self-talk, self-commandments, because I think of self-talk and self-commandments as two different things. One's kind of like to not beat yourself up, and the other one is kind of to get yourself going. So, and then practicing each one, like each one will have its own page and we'll practice it. And then at the end, kids can get in groups or get together, come up with the top three that they want to remember. Other strategies. Oh yeah, what worked best? How can you remember? How can you recognize when you're feeling stressed? How can you remember which strategies work for you, like when you're in a test taking situation. And some of the things we're talking, I was going to also go into is brain dumps, when you write down a whole bunch of notes whenever you get stressed. Um, and I have a few other things too, but yeah, I switched. So I just don't feel like showing it. But that's the idea, is applying what we've been doing to testing anxiety. So because kids are always given paper that they can start with,
Hmm.
but they can't bring any in.
Mm.
So anyway,
No, I mean, what kid at one time or another doesn't have test anxiety, right? And we
yeah,
really don't teach like well, you should have studied harder, right? No, everybody gets test anxiety. So I think you're really doing a service to the kids to actually, teach
thank you.
them that it's normal, and not to get upset at themselves, because everybody goes through it. And then you just listed like 7 or 8 different techniques that they have a choice of doing, and then giving them a chance to practice, and so that those skills then becomes second nature, and then kind of like simulating it. Okay, if you were on a test and this happened, what would you do next? So it's like, pulling together all those different elements to something that kids really need.
You know
Thank
what?
you.
And I just, well, first of all, I'm sad you're not teaching science next year. That was kind of, I was a little bit sad about that, but I agreed. You know what, Don? What a great job. Thanks for explaining it to us and talking us through it, because everybody I know has issues with tests, which is really interesting to me, considering that the only place we give tests in life is in education, right? When I worked for
Yeah,
NASA, I didn't take a single test. Here's the test.
yeah.
Is that shuttle, can you get that shuttle into space, into orbit safely? That's the test, right? There's no, and I just think, I don't know who created that test thing, but part of it I think is that I mean, it's just so, I don't know. I just find it unnecessary, and maybe kids do too. But I even have test anxiety. Like I just freak when but so excellent job is what I'm trying to say. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping our kids get through the crazy we call education.
Mm. Not that you have a strong opinion of that, right?
I just don't understand it. I don't understand this testing thing. And my favorite thing is memorize the formulas. I can assure you that when we were working at NASA and we were trying to launch the shuttle or the Peacekeeper missile or whatever, we didn't trust ourselves to memorize the formulas. Everybody checked, double checked, and used every freaking resource at your disposal to make darn sure you were doing what you needed to do. I'll stop there.
So I don't think I've told this class, but Tammy, you probably heard of it. When my daughter was in college and she took a semester in Singapore. My daughter was studying engineering, and in Singapore for the midterm, there were 5 questions, so it was 20 points per question, but the professor said he gave partial credit. And so she did all the questions, and on one of the questions, the he had said something happens every day of the month, and she read it as something happens every month. So she did everything right showing her work, but she didn't divide by 30, because her answer was for per month instead of per day. And so she gets the test back, and she gets an 80. She got 0 for that question. And she goes to the professor. He says, I thought you gave partial credit. Okay. And he says, yes, I gave partial credit. She says, well, I got every step right. And the professor says, no, the answer was 150. But if you got between 140 and 160, you got 90% credit. If you got between 130 and 140, you got 80% credit. You were so far off, I had to give you 0 credit. So,
How does
okay.
that make sense to anybody?
Okay, okay. So I don't think I think this is we had email back then. So she emails me and she explains that to me, and I blogged about it. I said, something, it's a different education system. Certainly you wouldn't be off by that much, and they just have one way of they just have one way of evaluating it. We have another way of evaluating it, and nothing's wrong, nothing's right. Okay, she sees that and she comments back on mine. She says, Daddy, you're just stupid. She says, if this were real life, then I would be part of the team, and the team would catch a stupid error. But if we made a logic error, the rocket might blow up or the bridge might collapse. So you're just completely wrong on this.
Oh my, no. In fact, can I just, I taught math and this always cracked me up. I would watch what kids were doing and I would look at every step of the process. And I remember one time a kid got 10 wrong answers, 10 answers. And she came to me and she said, Miss Schrader, you only took 1 point. I said, yes, you made one mistake 10 times. You made one mistake, you made it 10 times, and therefore the numbers weren't right, but it's the same mistake. And if you fix that, you would, like on every one, that's the only mistake you made. You didn't make 10 mistakes. I'm sorry. Okay, Mitch, way to
Well,
fire me up.
that's why you're smarter than me, and that's why
No,
my
Mitch,
daughter's
I
smarter
gotta
than me.
sleep tonight, and now I'm all fired up.
Well, okay, so this was 20 years ago. This is 16 years ago. So she got over it. Well, I mean, she blasted me back. So, you know, she was
Okay.
over
Well,
it
I'm
as soon
not
as
gonna
she read
get
it.
over it, Mitch.
I can add to that a little too.
Hmm.
When I was in 11th grade, we had this one class where we had to do tax forms. And the guy who sat beside me, I knew he knew it, and he got like 2% or something like that on it. And so I went up to the teacher. I said, "This isn't right. Like, there's a mistake, and there's the mistake. It doesn't mean all the answers are wrong." So exactly the same situation.
Wow. Yeah. And did the teacher reconsider?
Yeah, he did. He
Oh,
changed
good.
everything.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that
that's
guy,
funny.
I mean, I'm 63 now, so it was a long time ago. But I'm friends with his sister. I'm still in touch with his sister. And every couple of years, she says, "John still remembers you doing."
Good for you.
Yeah, good for you. Okay. Who would like to share? And it's not required.
Mitch, can you hear
Yeah.
me?
Yes, I can now. VJ?
Oh, let's see.
DJ.
Yes, let me
Okay.
show you my share.
Okay, I have to give you the rights to share. Okay. Oops, you requested. You got it.
Okay, so can you see my PowerPoint now?
No. Did you?
Uh,
You hit
Oh,
the,
it's coming
there
up.
we
It's
go.
coming
There
up.
we go.
okay,
Okay.
so there are two programs I like. One is this Mind Up program by Goldie Hawn, and you can go to this website mindup.org, and it's right here. And she has a lot of programs here. She has research. So if anybody's interested, they can read this about the teen brain, SEL, mindful awareness. There's a lot of good resources here. 7 million kids have been impacted by this training. They have put 20 years of research, and 275,000 educators have fostered positive change in their communities. Um, you can log in, create an account, go through this. It's really cool. The thing I want to talk about is something that everybody might not be aware about. In Washington and on Alaska, we have a meditation center for mindfulness. It's a 10-day residential class. It's totally free. You can click on this link over here. It'll take you to a website. You'll see you'll see a registration here, and you'll see like a wait list, and this says kids. It's a 3-day class for kids or 3.5-day class. And then in the comments it'll say, do they need an adult with them during the class, or they can be by themselves. And short courses, sometimes they'll say no first time students. 1, 2, 3-day kids courses are for old students only, so kids that might have taken the class before. And then you have short courses here, anywhere like 1 day, 3 day. And then if you scroll down, you'll see like 5 and 10. So here's a website. You can scroll down and you'll see 5 or 10 day classes. And it'll say new men, new women, old women. Old men and old women are people who've taken the class before. So there is 10 days, there's 30 days, 45 days, there's a 3-month class. There are home and garden days where you can come and do volunteer work. Um, Here's for next year already, they started taking applications for 2026. It's filling up. And these non-center courses are like in Redmond, in Eugene. It's totally free. Let me stop the sharing so you can see me. So it's totally free food, breakfast, lunch, dinner, free residential stay at the end of the course. They'll give you a blank envelope. You don't put a name, you put your donation in there, and you're done. During those 10 days, you cannot watch TV, no cell phone, no newspaper, complete silence. And you'll have an instructor in the room for every 10 students there. In a good busy course, you might have as much as 300 students over there staying in the dorms.
Wow. And have you
But for
done
10
this?
days, you cannot talk, you cannot use your cell phone, watch TV. The only person you can speak to is with your instructor, and that will be like 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening. So the whole day you'll be just breathing and watching your breath and focusing on the tip of your nose. And what you'll see is certain parts in your body are very painful because that's all you're reliving all the negative experience in your life, and all your negative experiences are leaving your body. So at the end of 10 days, you feel really light.
And you've done this, I guess, right?
Yes, so I've been doing this for 25 years.
Oh my gosh. So you're an old man.
I did this in 1989 was the first time I did it. So yeah. So in India, the companies give you a 10-day paid vacation to go for this course if you want to do this course.
Wow.
And it's
And
10 days residential or you
yeah, 10-day residential. You go and stay there. Uh, and you get a full paycheck from your employer, and it is practiced in all the prisons in India to keep the prisoners from becoming violent. So it keeps them calm throughout the day.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you. Will you be able to put the link to that into the spreadsheet? 'Cause
Yes, I
I don't see your I don't see it on
no,
there.
I haven't put it there,
Okay, great. Okay.
but
Really cool.
I'll put it in today's chat. But if anybody wants any more information, I'll put my email in the chat, and they can contact me because this is a very rigorous course, and I'll be more than happy to talk to you about it.
Well, that would be great. Thank you. And you would recommend it.
Oh, yes, yes. You can start with a 3-day course or a 1-day course.
Hmm.
Go to the Redmond short course. So they'll say new women and new men.
Hmm.
Then you can register for that for somebody who's never taken the course. You can try it for a day. And that's off campus. If you want to do on campus in Alaska, then you just look at the location and pick what location works for you in Washington or Oregon. We rarely do it in Spokane or Idaho,
Hmm.
but they have hundreds of centers all over America. So you can always find a center.
Oh, so for example, a bunch of us are from New York State. They probably have centers in New York also.
Oh, yes, you'll have lots of centers there.
Okay. Can you put the URL into the
Yes, I'll
chat
put the
also?
URL for the course registration. Um, Here's the URL for the directory. So if you click on that link, you can find all the locations in America.
Okay.
And then
Great.
you can see your wait list for the next 2 years. It gets filled up 2 years in advance. So
Really?
yeah, because you're getting free lunch, dinner, and breakfast for 10
Hmm.
days and free accommodation. So it fills up really quick.
Thank you.
Oh, they have overflow too. If it gets filled up, you can go live in a tent. That's what I like to do. If you just like 2 days before you go there, you can tell them you'll come volunteer a few hours a day in the kitchen because somebody has to cook for all these people and clean
Hmm.
the dorms.
Right.
So
Right.
I work as a server. So I serve food, and I help maintain the garden, and I help with the laundry.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. I'm gonna look it up and see what they have around me. Good. And I guess and Elizabeth says a friend of hers took this course also.
Oh,
It's life altering. I imagine that it would be life altering. and then the other is the Goldie Hawn site,
Yeah, the
right?
Mind Up. I put that link too in the chat. When I talk to principals about the Mind Up program, they are very open to it because they go look at the website and they say it's meant for educators and school children, and they are
Hmm.
very open to me using the practices from Mind Up in my classroom.
Okay. Um, Wonderful. Thank you.
And there's an article to share with your principal there too from Psychology Today.
Okay.
So that's a really good article, and there's the website. And once principals go to the website, they're very open to doing it.
Hmm. Good. Okay, and maybe we can have two more or three more shares from people.
Mitch, I don't mind sharing.
Oh, great. Okay, Michelle, thank you. Um, so let me make you a co-host.
Oh, I'd rather you just go ahead and show
Oh,
it. It's just
okay.
one sheet of paper.
Okay.
So
So let me then uh find it. Oh no, oh, there it is.
So this is my first mindfulness course, and
Hmm.
something that was a struggle for me was the extensive vocabulary used throughout the course. So I thought to myself, well, I'm not in the classroom like everyone who's presented. I'm a former administrator. And I thought, the vocabulary is still a struggle for me, even after sitting through all the lessons. I would constantly say to myself, okay, well, what's a script again? What's a story again? I would get confused. And so I thought back to 30 years ago when I was in my classroom, and sometimes I would use crossword puzzles as just a way to have students look at the vocabulary in a different way.
Oh, I'm not sure. You know something? I'm so sorry. I meant to be sharing. Here
And
I'm
that's
looking
okay.
at it and I'm
I'm just
thinking,
talking
wow,
about it.
cool.
So it's very simple. It is simply a crossword puzzle, and the second sheet is the answer key. And these were the vocabulary words that I've said I'm still trying to understand them, learn them, process them. And so I simply created a crossword puzzle that anyone could use with any of the lessons. I looked at all the lessons from prior sessions and said, there's a lot of lessons here. But maybe a pre-assessment or a post-assessment or just a fun activity to do to review the vocabulary words of mindfulness would be a useful tool for some of the teachers.
Hmm. I'm
So
gonna,
that's as exciting as it gets.
I'm gonna, I'm no, I'm gonna, I'm gonna use this because I'm gonna give it to people, in future courses because I think this will be very helpful.
And
I
there
know
may
we
be
can do it as a
mistakes.
test.
Who knows? Because my interpretation for my clue may not be what someone thinks. It's my filter through what I think that means. But, you never know. Everybody has a different perception sometimes of what words mean to them.
Hmm. Great. That's a great idea. I know Tammy really doesn't like that though because she hates when people are playing.
Right now I'm in the middle of a 4-day workshop around games in education and why we should be using them. And that's why Mitch is taking his shots. But I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, great. What a great idea. This is why I love these because
I know.
one idea after another. Okay, let's see if we can get one more person. Anybody who is a little reluctant, your part X, your saboteurs are telling you, "Oh, I may not be good enough, but you know that you are."
I will go.
Oh, thank you. Thank you,
All
Suzanne.
right.
My internet's unstable. So
Okay.
are you
Uh,
hearing me okay right now?
yes, I am. And then what I'll
All right.
do.
We'll just do it.
Okay,
Yeah, I
so you have
have
two different links. Do you want to show, or if you're unstable, I
I'll just
can.
show I can show it from mine. I'll share as
Okay.
long as I can share. Let me just try sharing. That'll be here. So I am transitioning from an admin position. Oops,
It's
let
coming
me
up.
see.
Yep.
Is it? Okay, great. Yeah, I am transitioning from admin, but I was mostly a teacher most of my educational time. And I'm actually open an example to create some simple informational posters. And I created one for students and I created one for parents, and something that I could teach in a very short amount of time. Like if I have 5 minutes. And so my student one, I did two different versions just graphically, but they say the same thing. Um, and so I went with Master Your Mind, Unlock Your Executive Superpowers. And then I just went through limbic and to the executive function part of your brain, the front part of your brain. So, just this idea of what's controlling me right now, and that your brain has two main bosses. And going through just the basics of, there's your survival brain, limbic, that reacts fast, might freak out, shuts down thinking, and then comparing that to your thinking part of your brain. And then moving over to recognizing those signals when you're in your limbic brain, and just had little simple graphics, the pair running away, maybe you're exploding in anger, maybe you're freezing up, all of those things. Um, I added some other things as well, and that your survival brain might be in charge then. And then how do you flip it? How do you flip the switch and get resourceful? And so I just threw in a few things and added that, there are many more things you could learn. So this is just like a little intro. And then at the bottom, a little information about, you know, getting into habits, and just the idea that, you really need to be in your resourceful brain to work through those executive function. And I would be working probably with kids who have ADHD or autism. And so this is a little visual for that. And then the parent one, I'll just show it to you. I made one for the parents that it's brain science, not defiance.
Ooh,
It
great.
it can be really hard working with your child who has ADHD or autism, or maybe just struggles with executive function, and they often are in limbic mode. Um, and so just a little information for parents and how to move from, the meltdown or the anger or the anxiety, and talking about co-regulating, just very in a very simple way. So so those are informational posts I will probably put on my website. So
And when you say put on your website, what are you doing?
I'm going to I have an executive function coaching practice that I'm
Wow.
starting in the
Hmm.
fall. Yep.
Well, these would be very helpful. That's wonderful.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for sharing. I think, I'd put these up in my classroom and I'd talk to parents about them.
Yeah, I love it. I
Yeah.
love the graphics. I love the colors. I love the calmness. I love the font. Yeah, excellent.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I didn't mean to close anybody off. If anybody wants to go, is there anybody who does want to go? Then, because we've had, 15 different examples of how to, use material about the brain in order to help others and ourselves be more resourceful. These were incredible demonstrations. So thank you all who have demonstrated. Thank you everybody who's submitted a lesson plan and for participating in the course. I had a blast, working with you all, and and I hope everybody has a great summer and a chance to rest and recover from what I know has been a stressful school year, right? So, Jane, Tammy, you want anything either of you want to add?
I just want to say that this is such a I've learned so much from everybody here and watching these presentations and everything. I really enjoyed listening to the conversations, and I feel like that's where a lot of learning happens. And just thanks for listening to me monologue. Great.
You guys have been awesome. Thank you so much. Go set the world on fire.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Mitch, do we need any parting shots about clock hours for Washington State teachers, or have we? Everybody's fine.
Does anybody need any